All right, let's see, it is now 6:33. Call the meeting to order. Currently present are Chris Bornson, Mike Ferguson, and Harry Seckman. Okay. This
Hoping
meeting
that Britton
is-
Bradford shows up shortly.
This meeting is being taped and will be available online under the Town of Rutland website for those who wish to view it in the future. We have no guests present tonight. We will probably be having some as we go through the year. I actually pretty much listed everything here under new business and old, so I don't really have any opening comments at this time. Chris, do you have any?
None, nope.
Mike?
No,
Okay.
maybe we just simply, for now, we just review these minutes from, this is a January meeting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, cause.
I almost can't remember that far back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we had one planned for March, but it didn't happen. I
Right.
think it wasn't
It
posted, and
conflicted
we
with the
had, we
meeting
had
you
some
had.
people, well,
Right.
and then April 11th was the confliction, so this is,
Right.
today is the postponement of April 11th, so we canceled one altogether. And I think we still have one on the books for May
Yeah,
11th, or
I like-
May
I li-
15th or something like that.
Well, I don't have it here, but we'll take a look. We try to be even if we're not doing a lot, I just try to be consistent if I can to try to get caught up on things. So we're not, like the end of last year, pushed to get all this stuff out. I don't wanna see that happen, so that's part of our discussion coming up for this year.
I'm looking at your minutes, and I have one simple silly thing at the beginning.
Yep.
You have me listed as the clerk. You are now.
Well, you've got,
Not officially, Mike.
We voted it
I
at
don't
one of the
know.
meetings, yeah,
Did we?
yeah.
I don't know, I don't recall it being
I don't
officially
recall it
voted, and I
No,
know
I
you've
don't
got,
either.
on the agenda, you've got me as the interim clerk, which is, I think, what we had agreed on, because
Right.
we said basically once your term is up, or once you're done, then, or next year, or whatever,
officially
yeah, we'll
through
officially
the
make that
process, right.
change, so.
I'm probably gonna send a letter out resigning at some point in the summer, early in the summer. We usually take some time off in the summer anyways,
Yeah, our new year starts July 1st.
July 1st.
So if you could get it done in June, it can be submitted to the board. So officially, your term ends, so I can, not that I want to.
Our
but-
term goes until July 1st.
Yeah, it ends June 30th.
Okay. For some reason, I thought I had another year, but
No, I have you down for 24. You and Dan are 2024.
okay. Well, that's, I'll go right
Chris is
when that expires then.
2026. I'm 2025, and Britton is 2025. Me and him expire next year.
Okay. Well, I'll get a letter.
And with it, would you also say that I have found a volunteer who is willing to take my seat?
If I find someone, I will certainly let you know. But
Okay.
I thought you said there were some potential people.
Yeah. There is some potential.
Yeah, okay.
So
Well,
I just gotta get back with them to see how.
I was gonna go sooner, but because my medical stuff got pushed off till the summer,
Okay.
I
Well, finish
It
out
works.
the year, that's good.
finish out the year and,
We'll have probably a meeting at the end of May, after the town hall and the election and everything. We'll probably have another meeting then, so we're more clear on where things are. If everything gets approved by the town, then we can move into 2026.
okay.
All right.
And the select board has agreed to put all of our recommendations into a warrant then.
I have copies of the warrant, we'll go through that here.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, there's only three things. The fire truck, two things. The fire truck is a warrant, and then
Oh, but it's awful.
there are three things combined in one warrant.
Yeah.
Vans and so forth.
Some of our stuff got taken care of too, so.
Well, that's the other thing I want to go through to here. So we have an understanding of what got taken care of, at least for the minutes anyways.
Yes. Okay, well, I don't see any other issues here in these minutes. They,
No, they look good. And by the way, great minutes. I like it. You didn't have to, go too crazy and elaborate. I didn't want you to do that, so
Yeah.
it's succinct, it's to the point, and it lists everything.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too often that I did it, that I had to go to a second page. You can usually
Yeah.
just do quick summarizing, and the whole recording is available
Right,
for those who need more detail.
okay. Hopefully Britton will be here.
Well, if we can vote on this, I would make a recommendation, we accept these minutes.
Yep. Do I hear a second?
I think it would come from you. Can I second my own?
Yeah, you can
All right,
second.
then I second.
Okay, any discussion? All-
No, it looks pretty straightforward to me.
Yeah, okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye?
Chris?
Boris and I.
More, okay. Ferguson?
Aye?
Aye, Second, aye. Okay. Moving into the new minutes here.
The new,
The
Agenda.
warrant articles that are gonna be at the town meeting, and the moderator is gonna ask us to stand up and just say yea or nay, and we've approved it and all that stuff, it came through capital. Is going to be Article number 6, sponsored by the Capital Improvement Committee. And basically it says, and these are on the town website, by the way. You can
Okay.
look at you can view the warrants that are on the town website.
Oh, they posted it already? I thought
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had been posted yet.
Yeah. To see if they just posted it yesterday, I believe, or today. Yesterday it was posted, so.
Okay.
To see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $482,950 from free cash, water and sewer, and enterprise fund retained earnings, and/or the capital stabilization fund in the amount for the enterprise, for the purposes shown below for the fiscal year, for capital equipment, buildings, facilities, and other projects, including as applicable, site preparation, demolition, equipping of vehicles, and other incidental related expenses, or take any action in relation thereto. Free cash, $227,950. I can give you a copy of this then, Chris, so you can have it.
I just pulled it up. I found it.
Okay.
did you?
Free cash, 1 facilities van replacement, and school security system. School security system was gonna be about $75,000, and the van was going to be, well, more than that, it was like $75,000 a school. So we know the school security system is gonna get done this year, and we know the facilities van is what the cleaners use to go about town. Then we have the W&S Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund, $135,000. 1 replacement van for Water and Sewer Department, Water Treatment Plant Modernization Phase 1. And then we have Capital Stabilization Fund, $120,000, which is gonna go to the Public Works Facility Garage Repair, Glenwood Elementary Playground, because that was an ADA surface replacement issue, so that'll be taken care of. So that total comes to $42,950.
Now, part 2, the water and sewer enterprise, the second aspect of that, the water treatment plant modernization. I don't think we ever discussed that. Was that something else that just got
No,
lumped
no.
into that?
No, that was,
If you go to the home page.
I thought this was,
No, I don't
this
know.
isn't the same homepage that I have.
Rutland, yeah, that's not,
Rutland, Town of Rutland,
yes,
right
that
there.
one.
Phase 1 was gonna be 2026.
Okay, so they just bumped it up. If we go to the town meeting warrant,
Oh, town meeting warrant, there it is, yep.
and then I think you actually have to click on that one.
Article
Okay.
6. And if you look on the sheet here, Chris, on this that we have on the big book, it is, I'll give it to you, sewer manhole and pipeline, 1 in an I&I rehab. It's gonna be $160,000 this year.
Okay, so
So-
it's just getting moved up.
Yeah, that was in 2026.
Okay,
And a water 3/4 ton pickup truck was gonna be $55,000. And that's, I'm waiting this is gonna be a real hard discussion for 2026. Because we are gonna get our things here, We were 800,000 over budget this year in the town. Next year, we're gonna be 1.3 million estimated. So when we're looking at next year's stuff, that's gonna be a very difficult decision about what to recommend and how much. Because next year, the overall recommendation for is gonna be close to $930,000. So we're so I don't know if doing our job, we can recommend all the stuff that's coming up. I'm hoping we'll find some money, I'm hoping there'll be some grants out there we can do. But it's gonna be, we're back in a situation where we were years ago, year after year, so.
I have one question. From the stabilization fund, it says Public Works Facility Garage Repair. I thought a lot of that got funded by a green grant.
Only about 200,000.
So would they
a lot of
replace the boiler and?
They
and
replaced the
had to-
boilers, the heaters, the doors, and some other stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but that
But
was a lot of the work.
But
What's
we
left
only
in there?
allocated 60, and that 60 was for the doors
Okay,
and that, so we really didn't allocate a lot of money for the other stuff.
so this,
Not just the doors,
well,
but,
the stabilization fund, the 120, it says the garage repair, but it also includes elementary playground and surface replacement.
Right.
Glenwood.
they, you know what, when they did the warrant, they combined this stuff, instead of having
I
separate
can't remember
warrants.
what other public works facility repairs were needed that didn't get covered by the green.
I don't know. I only know that this is what we recommended. What Austin did after we recommended this stuff, he must have talked with DPW and came up with other things.
I noticed in the annual report, our section was saying, we recommend we spend a lot of money on all of the boiler and the doors and everything.
Right.
And then probably since that was published, the green grant came through.
See, what we are hoping to get is that when this is done, we get an analysis of what was done with the money that we recommended, so we can close out our books, so to speak.
Okay.
So that's, but I think it's, hopefully, everything is gonna be done next year. There's
Hey,
May.
Jim.
I apologize for
Hey,
being
no
late.
problem.
How you doing, Harry?
Good, you?
Good.
How was the drive from the Cape?
Sucks.
Okay.
It's everything you
We are
could
being
imagine and then
taped, by the
some. What's that?
Being videoed, by the way, to see.
Oh, well, I apologize to the residents of Rutland. But I stand by my statement.
Okay, I said what I said.
Yep.
Yeah.
We are going over the articles that are gonna be appearing in the town warrant.
Okay.
And the van replacement for the cleaning crew and the school security system installation that we recommended, those are on here.
Yeah.
That money is coming out of free cash. We didn't specifically recommend any particular money, but we did recommend that wherever possible, it should come from cash or stable or wherever. So they combined this of the things that we voted separately into one warrant article. So we didn't have to have 6, 7 different.
So, yeah, but there's.
That's efficiency.
There's
I'm okay
not
with
gonna
that.
be discussion about individual items and like the school security system, which we thought was a priority. You know?
No. The big discussions on the stuff that we're recommending is gonna be the fire truck. I just talked with another individual in another town, and I was telling him we're buying a fire truck and we want it on the warrant. So, cause it'll probably take 2 to 3 years, he goes, we're still waiting and ours is 5 years out. We were told 4 to 5 years to get it. So I put a call into Seth to say, what happens if we go past our deadline for the truck and it's not there yet
But it's on order.
and it's on order? Can we still use this one here until the new one comes in? Or by code, we can't even do anything with it, so I wanted to hear back from him, but it's not critical at this
I
point, but I
thought he
wanna.
said as long as the ladder passes its big inspection.
I think I think he said if it's past it, it just can't be the primary, which means it has, something else has to go out before it can.
Somebody else has to go out. If there's a ladder truck needed, we only have one, so some other town has to respond.
No, I thought he said it just we had to have another truck from Rutland go out, it was my understanding of it.
Not if you need a ladder truck, another
Yeah,
truck's
no.
not gonna work.
Okay.
You'd have to go to Holton or something, yeah.
So, yeah, so that was on Article 6. So that was the one that we're going to be recommending at the town. The next article we're gonna be recommending is gonna be the fire truck.
The town did post the warrant on the website, Britton, if you want, you can access the town website.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for it.
Is the fire truck its own?
Its own article.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Now,
Is it,
I'm
you
gonna
know?
throw a little surprise at you here. Considering the cost of a fire truck, we had been looking to recommend this, and Seth has been putting it on his agenda, letting us know for some time.
Yeah.
So the fire truck that we're looking at, the ladder truck, was recommended back in 2022, 2 years ago. The price on it was $1,300,050. Today, it's $1,850. So in 2 years, it bumped up $500,000,
Yeah.
nearly 30%.
Matter of fact, last time we talked with Seth about it, it was 1.7.
Right. Now, we're hoping that,
How does, I don't know.
yeah, well, you know, timeline to get parts, get the thing built, codes, all the time, so. And the ladder truck, as we know, is gonna be 10 feet longer than the old one we have. And I'll tell you, I have gotten some pushback on it. Why do we need a ladder truck for another 10 feet? Why can't we just get one replacement that has the same thing on it? Seth gave us his opinion,
Right,
because the way the building is going up off the road,
yeah.
and how do you get the access of it? And he, so he said, figures, and 10 feet is the max that he's gonna be able to get into the bay.
Yeah, he had a pretty good explanation for that, and the example was over at Countryside.
Yeah,
The building, they had to bring in Holton because he couldn't reach the building
right,
that had people in it while it was burning.
right. So, I mean, there is a reason for it. I mean, we're gonna have to just get up there and say yes. But part of it is there, how long can we use our old fire truck? Because once you say it's gonna take anywhere from 3 to 5 years to get it, lucky if we get it sooner, they're going, well, is this one gonna run out? So that's a call I have into Seth to tell me just specifically, yes, can we use it? Or no, we can use it as a backup as long as somebody else goes there first. What's the deadline? I thought it was gonna be 2026 would be the deadline when the codes don't apply or can't pass for code. But I guess maybe as long as it passes back. See, these are the things that's been so wild that I'm not sure how it was, what the answer was.
He seemed to think that at some point it wouldn't pass the inspection, not just code, in which case it's done.
Yeah,
Well, I thought it was down a couple months ago for a bunch of repairs and stuff.
Well,
I thought
repairs,
so.
yeah, but the
part of
big
that, I think, was
inspection
making
for the
sure
ladder
it-
itself, I'm not sure what
gonna
that
pass the
involves,
inspection.
but he did say that if it fails that, it's a pile of junk.
right.
I mean, everything needs maintenance. I'm sure he's always doing maintenance on all his trucks, you know?
Yeah, I talked to him about that. He said the maintenance costs have been very high this year
Yeah.
on the truck. And again, we're gonna talk about going through next year and how we felt about the process this year with the town administrator giving us the stuff. Did we have enough information, or do we still have to talk with the department heads themselves and what we're doing? So we can discuss that later on.
The only reason, I don't know if this was general maintenance, this might have been something broke on it.
I have
But to
no
your
idea.
point of, should we be doing this, if the new one is already breaking down, yes, that's a reason to absolutely get a new one on order, because once it starts breaking down, it's only a
Once it's on order.
matter of time.
Once it's on order, I mean,
Right, that
it'll
we should
come
be okay.
eventually, but who knows how long now? You said another town's waiting 5 years now.
The sad thing about this is, how many miles are on this truck? It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, not a ton.
Not a ton, but yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
But
I
they
can't
also
speak to
say
that.
that as
The
things sit
usage
around.
is-
Huh?
The usage, those are hard miles. It's like if you say, all right, it has 1,000 miles on it, but those are hard miles.
Yeah.
Those guys drive those things to the wall.
They're
And
high
rightfully
miles,
so.
and it's not how far it's driven, it's how it's used,
Right.
you know?
In
You're
bad,
not- you're not
bad
driving it.
conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, just,
So that's on the warrant. So we're gonna take a look at that.
well, my question is are we to recommend, or, I think the FICOM already said they recommend. Correct?
What'll happen, you know, the.
'Cause they have to
the
legally,
moderator
they
will
have to.
say, because it's sponsored by capital improvement, the moderator will say, how does, capital improvement, vote on this thing? We recommend.
It does say right there on the select
Yeah, it
board
does, but,
recommendations favorable and FinCom is
Right.
favorable recommendation.
Right.
But usually it's in writing beforehand, right?
What's
Correct.
Yeah, it is. It's on the warrant.
There's an explanation below the, here.
Okay, maybe I missed.
You see, it's an explanation down here.
Yeah. But the CIPC isn't recommending or,
We're recommending the fire truck.
We're the sponsor. If you look
We're
at
the
next to the
spon- right.
article,
What article is the truck?
18.
18.
we are, but we're not on there.
No.
Well, I mean, we're here at the title, but we're not on here in the bottom.
No, that usually doesn't happen.
Okay.
That's why the.
Because it goes to town selectmen.
For example, if you look at the next one here, it says
All right, I'm
sponsor
tracking, I'm
fire
tracking.
department. They're gonna ask the fire department, they're gonna ask CIPC. Down here, it's the town accountant who will be there, so she'll be the one that does that.
I got you.
Finance and select board both said favorable.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is where, I was just saying that Seth gave me a document a couple of years ago in 22, where the cost of the, estimated cost of the fire truck was gonna be $1,350,000. So now we're at $1,850,000. So we can't wait 3 years to be doing this. It's just, that's crazy for the town.
What's a gifted equipment to the fire department, ropes and stuff?
That was the, the fire brigade gave the fire department some equipment. And when you do that, it really requires a citizen's petition because they're a non-government entity, the fire brigade.
Oh, okay.
But in order to avoid that, Seth, get it on a warrant, the fire department's gonna be recommending they accept it. So they already have the equipment, they already gave it to them. It was about $7,500 worth of stuff. So, just a formality that we have to go through. Okay. Any other discussion of the capital items for article inclusion? Any questions on those? No? The DPW.
So we only have two, the one where everything was lumped in the fire truck, we only
Yeah.
have two articles that are in
That's it.
relation to CIPC? Okay.
Yep, yep.
And we're all on the same page of saying like, this is a necessity, we've evaluated.
It's been vetted and everything, right?
The fire chief is willing to stand up at said hearing and answer questions as to why do you need an extra 10 feet?
Well, that, there's gonna, I
We're
don't
gonna
know.
need that.
But, no, he will, he'll
Yeah,
validate it. But once the capital improvement says, this has been on the agenda for many years, since 22.
True.
We need it now, it's gonna take, now, where it would have taken a year to get it, now it's gonna take maybe 3 to 5 years to get this thing.
Understood.
And no money's gonna be spent, it'll be approved, but no money's gonna be spent until we
take
take receipt of
possession.
the fire truck.
When we were with Seth, I don't think
Which
that
I think is
meeting
fair. I think that's an
was
easy
recorded. If you
explanation
go back to
Yeah.
my meeting
To the-
minutes from that
to the
meeting,
town
that
voters.
was where it was like
It has to
5
go up. It'd
be
pages,
really
but I
nice,
brought
though,
up
if,
every
like,
point
I
Seth
assume
made, so
Seth's
it's
gonna
almost
be
like
there.
we
Yes.
just read
Oh, yeah.
that
Because
section of the
that's,
minutes as to
it's not really our realm.
why should we get the
Right.
fire truck?
He came and explained to
Yeah,
us
I
and
already
we
wrote
said,
it down
"Sounds
in the
good."
minutes.
Right.
But if there's pushback from the public, he's gotta be willing to step up and say, hey, this is,
The only pushback I think we're going to get, Brisson, is that we're $800,000 over our budget this year. That's going into the 25 year. We're gonna be 1.3 million over in 2026. And we have used up at least 50% of our cash We've used up all our ARPA money, we've used up free cash money, and we're gonna be using up some article money. So when you look at all this, and now their sewer rates have been going up over the last 2 years.
They got a stormwater bill.
We got a
we all
stormwater
got
bill,
that.
which is only for 6 months.
Really? I thought it was once a year, it said.
No,
No.
wait, just wait.
Just wait, next year's gonna be $80. So, and that affects everybody. So we got that going on. We're asking for money for a fire truck, and then we'll discuss about CPA tonight, if you're familiar with that at all. Because,
Before we talk about
We may be-
CPA,
we
let's
may
just
be
keep
asked-
it here.
no, we may be asked to make a recommendation on it. Like and we'll get into it, but I don't think we should just say, the FAR has no recommendation on this at all.
Because it's not, if you look at what we're charged to do and look at and recommend, that's not within our purview.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, let's
I'm
just
sorry,
temporarily.
CPA stuff.
Yeah, let's just temporarily.
I'm sorry, I'm off track.
No, that's okay. Discussion of asset projects. I put that down here because we have projects that have been on the books and articles that haven't been done. And some stuff in ARPA that hasn't been done. We're gonna close out those articles and use that money to help pay for stuff. So a lot of things, so after the town meeting, we'll review all the articles. ARPA money is gone. That has been used up
I
now.
was gonna say, it's,
So that we can't go to save ARPA funds, that is gone.
I'm
So on the
curious what
asset
it all
side-
got spent on.
Yeah,
But that's for whatever recommendations we decide to do for 26.
26, correct.
Yeah.
And now, I wanna go into, spend a few minutes on, Mike, you're gonna be going off the board.
At the end of this term.
Yep. Britton, your term expires in 2025
I think 2025.
with me.
Yep.
Dan's expires this year. So I gotta get to Dan so we can get a letter to the board if he wants to stay on. Cause, I need to, as a chairman, I
He
need
can
to
be
make
appointed,
recommendation.
correct?
He needs to be appointed by the board. Correct. So now we gotta put our heads together and see who we're gonna have to replace Mike with his brains and water and everything
Well,
else out there.
that's not gonna happen.
I know.
Can't replace that.
Everybody who comes in brings something different and hopefully something useful.
Yeah.
Okay. So just be thinking about that. Personally, I'm gonna miss you, Mike. You've been a great asset to the committee. A lot of information regarding water and sewer that we had to deal with. You really had a lot of experience and knowledge on it, so I know the committee's town will miss
It
you.
was easy for me to deal with Joe Buckley. I worked with him for 30 years. in Worcester.
So I just want you to know, everything you've done has been appreciated here. You've been what now, 7 years, 8 years on it?
I'm not sure. I've lost track.
I gotta tell you, sir, this is a thankless job. Doesn't matter if it's this or selectmen or
It's,
planning board, but
I think this is
I
easy
appreciate you
compared-
stepping up and doing this for the town, because nobody else is clamoring to get here to help us.
you know, this is an easy committee though, because it's not really confrontational.
It is, but it's still,
But it
it's a
still
lot of
needs to
work.
be done.
Yeah,
We got a lot of research, a lot of digging,
and I appreciate it.
so
So.
we do thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
You know. So you might make one more meeting with us.
Yeah, I'll get a letter together and I'll address it to
Me,
you and I'll CC, you know, the
Chairman.
administrator at the.
yeah, CC the administrator and the chair of the select board. CC Lee on it.
I'm not sure who the chair is.
Normally, you'd give it to me and I'd put it together and send it out to them so they have
Who's the
your.
chair?
But I don't have,
Here we go, it's way too complicated, you should not quit, you should just keep going.
right.
Okay.
Well,
Well, if you put it
you
that
don't,
way.
you don't have,
It's
you can-
just don't do it, just, you're
you can
fine.
CC the town administrator, but officially it goes to the chair of the select board because they appoint you.
I was also gonna CC Tamika Murphy, but I don't know.
You can do that and she'll get it to the select board, but you address it to the chair of the select board
Okay.
or to the select board. Okay. That nasty stuff now is out of the way. Okay, let's get into some, and I skipped over a little bit, 2026, some of the stuff that's coming up. I want to go over. And so I can start making notes about how we want to address this stuff going forward. Okay, going down the list. Starting with fire. Fire this year is going to want a ambulance cardiac monitor replacement for $90,000. There are 2 ambulances. I think we replaced one last year or the year before, and they want another replacement. And you know what that is, right? It's the new ones. One of the new ones, it used to be where you put the paddles on you and do it. No, now they put this thing on you and it automatically does it.
Okay, it replaced, one of the ambulances didn't have it.
Ah,
That's when we bought the other one.
right. So we do have, and believe it or not, I drove by town one day and I saw an ambulance from Leicester here. I mean, what? We're using 2 ambulances that we don't, and we have to call in Leicester? So it's like,
Really?
whatever. So,
What about the one, wasn't the one in Oakham or Hubbardston that we were maintaining and,
we do have 3.
yeah.
I'm not sure where the
There's
other.
another one it's stationed in one of the other towns, but, we maintain it and we get the
Well,
revenue.
yeah, see, here's the other thing, 2027, we're gonna be looking at another ambulance request.
Yeah.
And so, big things like that require a little more, if you will, a little more investigative power. How much return are we getting? What is the
But
amount of
that's,
money that's coming
but
in?
we can't do that.
Yeah, we can. We've done that in the past.
It sounded like the town administrator, like when we've asked for quotes or more information on an item, it's like you don't deserve that.
I know, but we have a responsibility based on our bylaws.
Well, I don't
that our
disagree.
job is- Okay,
But I don't know that we have the
we got
weight
some-
to ask.
We got some pretty good information in the past about what the revenue they generate and where it goes. And,
but that was from Seth.
Right.
If you look at what the
I
town.
can't ask Seth, like,
Right.
hey,
If
can I
you
get a
look at what
quote?
the town administrator sent us, and the stuff that goes with it, what kind of state aid, where it is, there's really nothing on here. So for us to evaluate what the state sent us and ask to use the state stuff, we have to dig a little bit more.
yeah.
Okay.
And Seth was very forthcoming.
Oh, so's DPW.
as much
so's
as they can be.
Police. I mean, luckily, we don't have a lot from the police department. You know, we don't hardly get anything from them. So that's coming up next year. And then we have a ambulance Lucas replacement, which is 60,000. So next year, fire is gonna be looking for about 150.
That's on top of the other.
That's on top of everything else we're doing. The police are gonna look for dual band radio replacements, and that's gonna be about, I think there's gonna be about 25 replacements there.
That's gotta be a state level.
So it's $35,000. Now, will there be a grant there? I don't know. That's what we gotta talk to the chief about to see if there'll be a grant for when we work on this stuff.
There's gotta be state bids for all those items and stuff.
A lot of that stuff, there are some state grants for.
I meant
We don't
state
know
bids if we
yet.
have to buy them, yeah.
Yeah. And then, I won't even go out, the other thing is, and I'm not sure how we're gonna deal with this, in 2027, we'll deal with that next year. The fire station design and reconstruction is gonna be $9 million. I'm not sure the town will be ready. After we have a discussion tonight, that's gonna be a hard look of what's coming up. DPW, so I mean, when do we wanna start? To me, it would be right after July 1st. Unless getting into August, we'll start up in August for this kind of stuff, because that gives us about 3 or 4 months to work on it, to start looking at getting information out. Because we don't need to get a request from them anymore unless there's something else out there. And we'll talk to the town administrator about getting requests, but we need to find out why he's recommending 2026 for the fire chief. What's the new price on the stuff? So we have some questions to ask him on that. Same with the police on the dual band radio replay. Oh, one thing I think I heard the chief say was these dual band radio replacements have a larger range so they can get out further, particularly with the new tower that went up, I think, in Hubbardston.
So, yeah, all right.
DPW, that's got the biggest list. Public Works Facility Rehabilitation, 20 grand, that's off the table because we allocated all that money this year to be done.
Well, we recommended it, correct?
It's on the warrant.
Okay.
Yep, we recommended that, so that's really not an issue. Brush chipper replacement.
Yeah, they've been asking for that for a while.
Huh?
They've asked for that for a while.
Many years. That's gonna be at 60 grand or whatever. The salt shed reconstruction is 150.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is, when we get to that, is try to take some time and go down and look at the salt shed.
Yeah.
See what the DPW is talking about. See what the need is. Because our job ultimately is to send it to the select board and the finance committee and the town administrator. And then we have to explain that to the town.
What's the price on that?
150,000. Okay. And then we have a street sweeper next year for
Oh, yeah.
225.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's an important thing because guess what?
It's not just you.
Stormwater.
It's
Now,
not just you.
can we get that from the stormwater fund? Will there be money there for that?
Depends on
I don't
people
know.
pay their $80 a year.
There's, I got an email from a gentleman in town.
Well,
that asked me a lot of questions.
It's an
and I couldn't
enterprise
answer.
fund though, right?
Huh?
It's an enterprise fund, just like water and sewer.
Yeah. But I don't know how it's set up. I don't know if payroll's coming out of that or not. I don't know where the money's gonna be. So that is gonna be an
It's my
entirely.
favorite part of government. It's like, hey, let's install a cost. And then, well, we don't know what we're doing with it. We're just, it's going into the kitty.
Yeah, really.
How do we work with that?
Right.
I'm
So
assuming
those
it's
are
for
things
big projects and stuff. I mean, the people that
but
work
it's
at
not. It's-
DPW are already managing the stormwater and the drainage and everything.
It's hitting everybody from people who don't even have stormwater on like a residential area.
Where I live,
They're not
there's-
on town sewer, they're not on town water. And it's just, they have a well, they have a private septic, and they're getting hit with stormwater.
And
Stormwater, excuse me.
Where I live, the water just flows off the road. You know, and I live on a main street. There's
And
no
that's-
catch basins, there's no drainage ditches, there's no.
So like, as a part of the planning board, like, we recognize that there's an issue.
Yeah.
And
Already
going,
paid it.
and going forward, we absolutely have to, like, we have to fix that. But like right now, and then looking back,
Yeah.
it's tough. I
I wonder how much
I-
as,
homework
as
went
a
into
citizen, I would be absolutely pissed
Well,
off.
can I tell you something?
I'm not, I wouldn't.
I'll
pay
bet you
that.
there's been between me, some other select board members, the town, I'll bet you it's been 150 phone calls on this, on a $40 item. Now, if you think.
do you
that's
understand
bad, you wait and see what CPA is gonna do. And I'm not for it or against it, but we'll talk a little bit tonight, cause,
Before we get in there, what I will say is I'm 100% on board with anybody who has a problem with that, because you've bought into a subdivision, you've bought a home that was developed probably 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, it doesn't matter. And now all of a sudden you're being told, yeah, that's not adequate, you need more money. And then topple on, you need a 2.5% override.
right. I gotta,
And wait a minute, now we're gonna talk about CPA?
you
And then we're
know,
gonna talk about another 2.5% override?
and a fire truck.
And a fire truck?
So,
As a taxpayer, I'm like, yeah, whoa.
I got
Can
an
we just
email from
hit the
somebody asking
pause?
me questions, and he said something, he goes, I'm a little upset over paying for a rainwater fund, because that's basically what it is. And he said, I'm not sure.
It's a different way to say it, but
Right.
yes.
I'm not sure I'm for having cleaner water go down the sewer.
Well, it's not the, so, yeah.
But,
You know,
those things, and it's not us, this was a government mandate from what I understand.
we got-
But there are cities and towns that don't have this, so I don't know what our town difference is from them.
right?
We got hit with the stormwater situation because we didn't do our diligence on the front end.
Right.
So now we find ourselves in a position where we get fined $25,000 a day when we're not in compliance. And that compliance is, you gentlemen know, very simple. We need a street sweeper. We need controls and regulations on stormwater. And
We still don't really have a stormwater bylaw yet, so.
nope, we don't.
How much of this has to do with infiltration? Water getting into the sewer system,
I don't know.
I don't
because
know.
that's a big deal.
I don't know the rate.
There's
See,
I promise you, there's like a mechanism, yes, yeah.
because that's a big deal, because we're paying to send rainwater to the treatment plant,
Correct.
because it infiltrates into the sewer system. That's a big problem in every town.
Yeah.
And the federal government and the state government are trying to come down on everybody on that. And obviously, you know.
They have oil, water separation, like the whole, it's a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, the line that we send through Holden and Worcester and pay a lot for, certain percentage of that is just rainwater.
Yeah, I mean, asking the chief, fire chief, asking the DPW superintendent, I mean, these are simple questions that don't take a lot of time. We get into a meeting and that's it. So they can answer those questions for us. I mean, we already know what the street sweeper replacement's gonna mean. We know what the brush chipper's gonna mean. And the salt shed's really probably the big issue we need to look at.
This whole fund had my head spinning. How'd they come up with that? Who came up with it?
Yeah, there's no answers for
Well,
that.
then you go to the next page, but you said the manhole and pipeline rehab was put on this year, but then we still have that 3/4 ton pickup truck that they're requesting.
Right, so
as
there's
well.
another 215,000 for DPW water and sewer. Council on Aging, their windows need to be replaced. That, they haven't been replaced since the school was built, since that building was built. They also, and it's not here, they also need new toilet seats. When you go in there, the toilet
Not a
seats
capital item.
no, were originally designed, but they're graders. So you can imagine an old person with bad joints trying to sit down on a third grader's toilet. And that's been there since the building was built.
I guess, I don't know. I've used restrooms in there.
Yeah, so now we're looking
Recall
at
that, but
75,000 we're looking at. The big stuff in 2027, 15 million. So over the next 2 years, we're gonna have our job cut out for us in terms of what we're gonna recommend. The sewer pipe replacement, the water treatment rehab facility, which has never been done, 27.5 million. So as we look out,
Wait, hang on, 27.5?
in 2027, it's gonna be $5 million for a replacement rehab. And one of the, not to really say much about other boards, but nothing has really been done on this subject. So it's all coming together now in the next couple of years to have it done. And my question is, if we spend 5 million, how better off will the facility be versus looking at maybe buying a new one, putting a completely, because this thing is, 25, 30 years old. So that's something we're gonna deal with later on. But that's basically it for
I
next
thought it was a
year
half
that I
decent
wanna-
facility when I went
So,
through it.
what?
For a town like, I thought it was a reasonable facility when I went through it. I did a tour of it and,
It's old.
yeah, well,
And part of the problem is not just that, but the Mushkapog,
they had to rehab the big tanks, a few
we
years
have to,
back.
yeah. And Mushkapog isn't what it used to be. So our pipes only go about 6 to 8 feet out into the water, so we're sucking mud, algae and everything else. It doesn't go way out into the middle, where, in summertime, you should do it. The other thing is our sludge
They
pits.
have to pump a lot to waste.
Yeah, that's what I mean. What they're doing, bring it in, and then they're constantly washing these things out.
Yeah.
And we're being billed for that. So, but that's down the road. So how do we wanna, what's your suggestions for how we proceed going forward? bringing them in and just kinda going through this? Cause we've got all the information here we need.
My personal opinion, this is a big item. We need someone who can explain it eloquently to say, hey, we need X amount of dollars, here's where it's all going. That's gotta happen.
There is a company called Sampson and Wesson. They do a lot of this
Yeah,
work
I've
for
dealt
us.
with them, yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna be there to help us out with this or not.
Well, you know, the,
But
are you talking about about the plant?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what you're talking about, right?
yes,
Yeah.
that's a big ticket item.
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta,
and you can't, the DEP will slap down on you if that's starting to fail.
Right.
When those tanks had to be rehabbed, it was under their order.
Well, the other thing is, we have our, I'll call them sludge pits. It's where the backwash water and everything goes into the pits.
Yeah,
Those are on a DPA hit list too.
yeah.
We've gotta get those done. So when we look at rehab, we're, not just the building, we're gonna look at rehabbing everything there. Okay. So are we, we'll just, as we go forward, we'll start setting dates, like this person will come in this month, or this person will come in, so we don't get too tied up with 2 or 3 people in here. Is that the way you wanna approach it, or bring them in all, if we can, bring them in?
No, I mean, last year, I think, you know, and to your point, we were a little behind the 8 ball, but if we had, you know, we had Seth come in, or we had Seth and DPW come in.
Right.
But, you know, but if you could then schedule another 2 people the next month, or, you know, a couple weeks. So
Right.
if we plan this out and get ahead of it by a couple of months, we can have, you know,
What needs
2
to
more
be done.
people, 2 more people, you know, and have 3 of those meetings like we had with
Right.
Seth and DPW, rather than just one and then
Right.
winging it from there.
But I don't think there's anybody at DPW who can come in and talk about that plant and justify what's wrong and
Oh,
and
no,
what it
well,
needs.
that's also
and-
27.
That's 27.
Yeah, so
it's 27, but
it's gotta
we
be on
should,
the radar.
yeah, we should be
I mean, sewer.
fishing it out now.
Right, sewer manhole and pipeline, that's really a Sampson and Wesson issue in terms of doing that. But that's gonna be $170 to $195,000 over a 4-year period. So it's about $170 a year going forward. So once we know that's in, that really doesn't take us a lot of effort to factor in the next year after that.
Yeah,
So next year will be just to kinda get the year started,
bite a piece off every year.
right? And that's pretty
Does it
much.
say,
that
does it
we
say
have.
where they're
But
doing
our-
that, the
our
streets?
total-
or-
huh?
Does it say what lines, what streets? or-
No. That's what we can ask him if we want, but that's talking almost $1 million right there. It's 930 now, but by the time we get to that, it's probably gonna be closer to $1 million.
If you're talking 2 years, it's probably 1.1, 1.2.
Yeah, it's,
That's what I'm saying, so,
things just
and we're looking
grow like you
in
can't believe.
or at,
Unless you can lock in a contract now and say, hey, we need to do this, and, but that's selectmen
yeah,
area.
and do we wanna commit to that kind of money when we know what our debt's gonna be going forward? In terms of,
If it's work that has to be done and you put it off, it's getting worse.
oh, I know,
Especially that's the kind of thing that you could have other agencies coming down on you for.
yeah.
State
So,
and federal.
I just wanted to review that so we get an idea where we're going next year, on that. You all had these, you all got this stuff, I think you were emailed at all those things, so you have all that for next year. And what I wanna also review with you, is there any other questions
It's
on
not that
this?
bad.
And then, if not, we'll just move forward.
Yeah. All right.
Now what we're saying, so we would start the 26 process in July,
Yes.
August?
Right, so the town meeting is gonna be about 2025. So the way the town does it, it's always when the year ends, is what ours is gonna be. So yeah, 2026, we start in July of next year.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions about that? Okay. I don't want to get into a big discussion of the Community Preservation Act, because that's gonna be a whole different ballgame.
Did you go to the meeting? Was there a meeting on
I
that?
did not. There's been several.
Yeah. And
'Cause I'm thinking back when
I did.
he was, oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought somebody was going, yeah.
Yeah, I've been to,
Answered every question you had, right?
and the reason I bring that up is there isn't a bylaw for it yet. So the stuff that's gonna go through them, a lot of it pertains to the capital CIPC in terms of the way our bylaw is written. So if they follow our bylaw, then we'll go through it. So that's just a little more work for us. But if it doesn't, and they doesn't go through, then that's really out of our purview. We won't look at it at all. If they recommend $500,000 for a recreation field, if they recommend $300,000 to rehab the historical society, if they recommend $2 million to develop a community building program, then that stuff, if the bylaw is written that way and it doesn't interfere with this one, that's out of there. So I'm only bringing it to your attention from the standpoint of what our workload will be and what we need to consider if it goes through. Now, no money can be spent on this for 2 years, until 2 years from now. Because in the first year, if it's approved, we contribute to the fund. The townspeople do, but the state doesn't match anything. The second year, the townspeople contribute to it, but the state won't match until November, basically. So November is when they establish the match. So you'll kind of know ahead of time what the match is gonna be, because it's all based on money coming from the registry, house deeds and so forth. But again, I just wanted to reiterate that
Guess I should, I'm not
The,
sure how
the,
this
we
whole
have,
thing
the old
works.
one, the old one currently says, if it's gonna go through the select board to be on a warrant approved by the town, it has to go through the CIPC. That's the catch. So if they don't want it to go through the warrant process and have the town approval, then it really doesn't have to go through us. So it all depends in the fine language of the bylaw. It's the only thing I'm pointing out there.
It's on the docket now.
What's that?
It's on the docket now.
Oh, it is. It's
It went
gonna,
through a citizen's petition,
what's that?
the CP, the.
No, it's going on, it's on a warrant. It went through the.
I know, but through a citizen's petition, correct?
No. No, it was,
No,
the-
So,
The
so
selectmen-
the warrant is literally only to approve it to go on the ballot in either November or whatever. This is just to get it to the ballot where then everybody
Right,
votes.
with a recommendation from the selectmen.
yeah, the ag committee
So
is.
they've
the ag
already
committee-
said they're good with it.
No, not really. We still haven't
Well, that's,
finalized.
is there not, what's the recommendation? The FICOM recommended, correct?
For what? The
For the CPA, yeah. On the warrant, at the very bottom, it says FICOM recommended, no?
right. I'm not sure on that one
Selectmen
because it says,
Also agreed. The FICOM by state law has to recommend or deny.
I don't see it on it, because certain committees took no action on this. I'll read it to you what it says. The CPA is a growth tool that allows communities to preserve open space and historic sites, create affordable housing, and develop and maintain outdoor recreational spaces. The fee would be assessed as a surcharge, let's call it a tax, on real estate tax bills, so it's basically a tax. But the state put the language in there so it didn't say tax.
Yeah, and Harry, I'm not trying to be a pain, but the FICOM has to, on every warrant, has to say good or bad.
Yes.
What did they say there?
Select board recommendation blank. Finance committee recommendation blank. And this is what. I
So
just
there's
printed
no,
up.
so they have no,
No, because we haven't really met to establish the recommendation on the board. We're doing that Monday.
oh, I thought it was already finalized.
No. The warrant's been finalized,
Right, and
But-
that's the warrant.
but we couldn't arrive at a recommendation for it because there were some pieces that were missing. There's one critical piece and I don't wanna get too deep into it because this is.
No, that's fine. I'm not trying to stir the pot here. I was just,
But it affects us as a CIPC. There's what's called section 3B and section 3B and a half. Section 3B says you're allowed to charge the town up to 3%. That 3% can be used for wherever you want. And the state will match you on average, because the state says 20%. So if you put in $100, the state will match you 20. That's the average based on the state statistics. The other part, 3B and a half says you can elect whatever you want. If you elect 1 or 2%, then you have to make up the difference with the town's money. So if you elect 2% and you do this and you want the state's money, you have to arrive at 3%.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think, first of all, at 3%, it's, I think last year it was 85, or Rutland would have gotten an 85% match. There's a sliding
hold on,
scale.
no, Chris, hold on. Yeah,
And
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
What is before the town is 3B, not 3B and a half. 3B and a half is an alternative funding mechanism that is not before the town. What is before the town is 3B.
you know, Peter, I'm glad you came in here because I have been trying to get an answer for that for days. Nobody has responded to me for that.
Plain wording of the
Mama.
warrant article is to allocate fund, is to add a surcharge to, and that's the only funding mechanism for this. So it is pure 3B.
I wanted to make sure 3B and a half, we didn't adopt the alternative.
We did not, because there's nothing
Well, I
in there but
appreciate
other funding
that.
sources.
I appreciate that you're telling me that now. Okay. At least somebody lets me know.
Well, after we talked about it, I went back and I read the law again, and it's horribly written law, but 3B and a half says as an alternative to 3B, which requires other language in the warrant article and in the ballot.
Yes.
so is there still no recommendation or otherwise other stated from either committee on this particular item that's on the warrant?
That is correct.
I thought it was locked in.
Finance Committee plans to do their recommendation at the last minute at their brief meeting before town meeting. Because
Okay.
the percentage has not been fixed. I was not around for the last select board meeting, so I don't know what happened there, but at the meeting with.
The percentage was not fixed there either.
If it wasn't there, Finance Committee is not voting a recommendation until the percentage is fixed. And the percentage doesn't have to be fixed in the warrant, it can be fixed in the motion, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But
But
until,
that's kind of a big deal.
no argument, but that's
Agreed.
the,
Yeah.
that's the state of things as I understand it.
But Peter, let me be clear. If there is an alternative that is adopted, then 3B and a half does say that 3%, if you elect 2, has to be made up with town money, correct?
Yes, usually by
Okay.
other taxes.
All right, I appreciate that, because that's all I was trying to get at, is there were 2, and I wanted to make sure we adopted 3B.
Right.
That
3B
was all I
is,
wanted.
3B is,
Okay.
the only language that we have is
Okay.
conformant with 3B.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
So, yeah, so that's gonna come before the town. It sure, it's gonna be 3B, because there's a lot of things in here that needs, and I think it's gonna be a big issue at the town meeting. Big issue, because,
what's going on?
No, I
You know
wouldn't,
it's
I wouldn't,
3% of your tax bill, not
wouldn't-
3% of your like assessed value,
I
so.
wouldn't disagree.
so where do you stand on this, Chris?
Well, I know we're getting asked about open space, and we say no because we don't have funding. Here's a way to set aside, squirrel away some money, and get the state to match you, and also then get grants on that overall pot. So you could put in $250, have the state match $100, and then get a grant for $350 to match it, and you've got $700,000, and all you did was put in $250. So we've got 40B that we know is an issue, so that's a way to subsidize some of that and keep people off our backs about 40B. We got the open space coming up, which people are all over us about that and then getting mad because we say no, because we don't have the money, and we don't, but if, we set aside the money, then we could have it. You've got all the stuff at the community center, the windows we're talking about, 75K, that's,
Separate.
Don't talk, you can't talk about buildings that are already owned by the town.
They don't qualify.
okay,
So it's in the details.
okay.
And the question, I'm not gonna, I don't care what the town votes for. I just wanna make sure all the facts are correct. Can you guarantee the town that they'll get grants? Can you guarantee the town that in bad years, they're still gonna get a 20% and the state won't change it like they've done with the school allocation? There's too many details here. And as long as those are presented, and I think the town gets to see all the facts they're talking about, and understand that if you put whatever money goes in there, 30% of it is captive. It's gone right away
Yep.
into special funds. Because you have to set 10% aside for community building, you have to set 10% aside for historical, and you have to set 10% aside for open space. Now, as long as they understand that's what's happening, and you won't get any state money until the end of the second year, basically, it's all town money. If they're okay with that, that's fine. It's not a 401K, it's not a CD. So as long as the town is presented with the right information, I'm only bringing this up tonight because of our bylaw and what we have to oversee. So if it passes and the bylaw changes something and it doesn't interfere with us, then by law, we still have to look at it. But if not, if there's some language by the state or whatever, then we don't have to deal with it. That's the difference there. So, and like I said, open space is great. I have no problem with that. But does everybody understand how much taxes we lost on some open space we bought? Plus, do people understand, we have over, I think, 60 acres in this town of town property that's available for businesses. So I'm not here to argue this at all, Chris. I just asked you how you felt about it. But that's the issue we have to be thinking about going forward. We may have to deal with it for 2 years. So if we don't, that's great.
What kind of surcharge would be added on real estate?
Like Chris said, it's basically let's take a $400,000 house. You deduct $100,000 off of that. What's the tax bill on that? What's 15, right now, say $15 per thousand. What's that tax bill? 300,000 times 15 is $4,500. You take 3% of $4,500. That's what you pay,
Okay.
all right?
They actually have a calculator set up on the town website on how much
Right.
money you will owe.
Right. The average price of a house in this town is 420, I think 427 is the, what I got the estimate from the assessor. So if you own double that, you own an $800,000 house, it's double.
Cut it in half, you're getting closer to mine.
Yeah, well, again, it's, the state allows you a $100,000 exemption.
Exemption, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
If you are a senior and you qualify for low income, then you have a different number you go by.
Okay.
So for your example, at 450 or 400, 4,500, 3% is 135 a year assessed per charge.
Right. But it's based on all real estate in town, business and otherwise. It's everything.
Plus your 2.5% that you now
What?
owe. Plus your 2.5% that you now owe.
Plus the 2.5%, plus your water bill. So, and believe me,
And the 2.5% that's
If-
coming right down the road because
And the 40
we
that's
can't
gonna be
budget.
80 and,
so,
Okay.
I mean, it's on the warrant.
Just
but
wait.
It's going to be a big issue discussion. It will, to me, it will be.
yeah.
You know, and then they're gonna say, well, and the other thing is, money that goes in here,
How do you use it?
no, can never be pulled out for any type of town expenses.
No, but it's gotta be used for something, I mean, for preservation, for,
Well, no, that's what I said, there are several things you can use.
So the CIPC is a capital improvement, or not, a capital what? Planning
Preservation
committee,
Act.
it's a committee
Yeah.
like us gets together, they decide what it's gonna get used on.
Yeah.
Then it goes to town, and the town actually has final vote on whether or not they're actually going to spend the pot on whatever the CPC recommends they spend it on.
Unless it's historical
It's-
commission.
You know what?
then there's
It's,
a workaround.
it's a nice idea, but let's
Meaning it's
face it, it's
historical
just
commission,
another
we
way
could say
of getting.
that's- that's a
So I don't
historical
wanna, I really
home.
don't wanna
It's
get
a-
into a lot of discussion here,
it's
Ron.
kind of a
Funds to be
confusing
built up.
idea, if you ask
Privately
me.
owned
It
or
is.
public, doesn't matter.
Kind of a confusing idea.
You're talking about using.
And the
public
town,
tax
the whole
dollars
town's gonna have to vote
to
on this,
fund.
right?
But then the town
Repair.
still
I think a lot of
vote.
people
No,
aren't gonna know what they're voting on.
there's no check on that.
No, the money can't be spent without a.
The other thing is,
Historical commission owns it. Historical commission is not controlled by the select board at all. So historical funds, the 10%. Someone
No,
comes
the
in and they
historic
say,
commission doesn't. They can.
they commit.
ask
I'm just
for
telling you how it's written.
oh,
I come in and I say, I own a historical home. I need new siding.
well, you don't own the historical building, town does.
it. No, he's saying.
No, at this point, I'm a private,
he owns
I'm
the Putnam
private, I'm
House.
registered.
Yeah.
I don't have to be registered with the state. It's not required.
Yeah.
Could be local.
Yeah.
Local says, yeah, this is a historical home.
So,
And they
This
say,
is a-
I'm gonna repair your
extremely
siding.
confusing.
I'm gonna repair your siding.
other thing-
There's no mechanism, gentlemen.
you know,
Just saying.
I know they're coming out at 3%, that's what they propose, but if you take a look at the state and the towns, there are towns with 0.5%, 1%, 1.5%, 2%, 3%, and out of the whole state, only 8 communities are funded at 100%. The average is 21% is what we're gonna get. That's what we should be looking at. Take the money, it's good money, but it's only gonna be 21%. Could be higher, but there are 3 phases to it. Phase 1, phase 2, if there's money left over, they look at you, and phase 3, if there's money. With phase 1, 2, and 3, you put all the state together, it's still 21%. So it would be difficult to get to 35 or 40%, because I've seen all the lists of them. And the towns that don't have a lot of business income, that real estate, they're relying all on the community.
Kinda
A
like
lot of them have not even adopted it. Yeah, or it failed at town committee, or it failed at.
We're not heavy with business here.
We don't have, so I'm not here to argue it. That's what people are gonna be doing at the meeting.
I think once you
know,
say taxes are going up, I think it's dead on the vine.
So
I
what,
think you're probably right.
so until we,
Especially because it's a very confusing.
Ambiguous.
It's a very confusing.
Give us money, we'll do
Okay.
this for you.
guys, I know, I only want. let me stop.
CIPC.
I only wanted to bring this up because of CIPC, that's it. Are we going to be authorized to look over that stuff before it goes to the select board? Because according to this, it has to, if it's going to a vote at the town, it has to come through CIPC on the document.
But it doesn't exist yet. But if it does.
We don't, right, their bylaw doesn't exist. Peter can tell you, they're working on the bylaw right now. So I don't know how that's gonna.
So do we
come out.
need an emergency meeting to give a recommendation?
I don't think we should give a recommendation,
I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying,
but I wanna take a poll, what you think. I think we
it's-
should just vote, no recommendation.
I think we
on
should
this.
have no recommendation.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Let the town, we should not be stepping in those waters.
We don't know enough of the details to make at least I don't, to make an educated
And the only reason I'm
recommendation.
saying
I don't
this,
think anybody does, but
we
that
can
doesn't
take-
stop voting.
we could take a vote on it, but only if we're asked by the moderator if we have a recommendation on it. So,
Which I think, just given your understanding, my understanding, and you're probably more educated on that, I wouldn't be comfortable giving a recommendation. Mine would be no recommendation. It seems very ambiguous, a lot of the stuff that's in there, and
Right.
that's just one man's opinion.
of the boards that I know that have looked at this, they have given a no recommendation on it. I don't think we should be sticking into the fire and either saying no or yes on it.
That's
That's
I
not
think
our
it's,
business.
I agree. I think it's totally a town issue.
So-
and-
Yeah, I agree with that
Chris?
completely. I don't
Yeah,
wanna make a
I'm- yeah,
recommendation
I'm
on
fine.
that.
Okay, yeah, that's not our purview.
No.
I don't know enough about it.
Now, if it was costing us money to do this, take the vote and stuff, we had to come up with cash, then it would be our purview.
No, that's, again, the townspeople will decide one way or another about
I think
this.
it's gonna get thrown out the window. I agree with what you said.
I don't
think
know, honestly, I mean, I've talked to different people about it, some favor it. The ones I've talked to in town, because when I was going around getting my signatures, I was asking them about it. The ones I talked to were fine with 1%, maybe 2. They weren't fine with 3. So that's gonna be the other hurdle.
I mean, you saw the dog fight for a 2.5 override.
Well, my point is,
Now we're saying, hey, let's get 3%.
well, my-
That's not, I'm not saying that that's
Oh, but that-
accurate, that's how they're gonna see
That's
it.
not the same 2.5 or 3.
But that's how people are
Your
gonna see it.
2.5 override was like an extra grand on your bill
Just
versus
saying.
$100 on your
Just
bill.
saying.
The percentages are not the same.
right, so,
Same number, but not the same.
can I
figure.
have a motion
Don't disagree.
to, can I have a motion to, make no recommendations if, on the, CEPA? Let's just get that over with.
I'd like to make a second in that motion of the CIPC has a stance of no recommendation.
Okay. Any discussion on it?
No.
Vote?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye,
Aye.
no
Unanimous.
recommendation.
Okay, just want to get that on the record, that we're not for or against this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. That took a little longer than I thought it would.
Still a good discussion,
Yeah.
worth having.
You said all of the boards and stuff you're familiar with are not touching it, huh?
No. That is a very complicated piece of legislation.
How many communities use this?
Hubbardston.
If you look at the state, 196 have it, and I think it's about 50 that don't have it. And there's quite a few in this area that don't have
I
it.
mean, we're one of the 50.
Barry doesn't have it, for
Yeah.
example, because Barry doesn't have a lot of industrial or anything either. It's all homes.
Yeah,
So if you look at who does and who doesn't, you can tell how the vote went. If there's not a lot of, like, for example, Worcester has it. Shrewsbury, believe it or not, I don't think has it.
Really?
If you look at Sutton, I believe Sutton has it. You go out to Weston, Wellesley, they have it.
Sutton doesn't have much for businesses and industry.
But
They use it for
it's a
other stuff.
very,
It's to capitalize on their affordable dwelling units.
yeah, let's see here. The committee shall report to town meeting its recommendation, it spends money, on Article 2, that expends money for a capital improvement. So it has to come through the town, if it's a capital improvement, so if you're putting a new building in, that's an improvement. The moderator shall call for such report. So we have to, in the old one, let me just double check here. In the old one, because this hasn't been ratified by the state yet or the attorney, so I can't go by this, I have to go by the old one.
Is that,
This is the new one, it's listed on the website, you can take a look at it.
is it the state or the town?
This is the town,
The town is rewriting the description.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that.
I'll give you my copy.
Well, if it's on the website, I'll find it.
All it says here, and this is why, it says, the committee shall report to town meeting its recommendations on any article referred by the select board pursuant to chapter 2, article 2, section 4D, that expends money for a capital improvement.
I mean, it seems to me we were working on something like this a few years ago when they were rewording
Yes, we were.
how our committee was described and our responsibilities. It just keeps
So
evolving.
if it doesn't come through us,
de-evolving, I'm not sure.
we don't have to worry about it. That's the good thing. Okay, if it does, well, we just have a little more work on that. But if you want to know more about the CPA, go to the website. There's a fabulous brochure the state puts out. It's about 80, 90 pages long, and it tells you everything.
Can't wait
about
to
the
read every word.
about the CPA, what's good, what's bad, how it works, when you get your money, all that kind of stuff. So it's really
You
good.
don't get your money, you get to pay money.
You know, I think a CPA
But-
personally, I think a CPA is a good thing for the town. I just don't think the time is right now.
When
But that's my personal,
If they-
has nothing to do with this.
they collect these funds, the percentages and everything, and then there's some project that fits the bill for those fundings, do we vote on that?
Oh, I don't know.
Would
See,
that come
I
here?
don't know. Their
100%
bylaw
select
has
board.
not been written yet, so
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm not even, I'm just saying.
It's town money that's being spent
What's
on a
that?
project. It might be preservation of land or
Yeah,
whatever.
they hold the
Right.
purse strings.
Town money being spent on a project, in theory, according to what's there, it would come here first for a recommendation.
But as long as what they write doesn't
Potentially.
conflict with this. it
Cause
doesn't-
they're gonna have their own committee. If CPA gets passed, the CPA has its own committee that votes on how to use.
Right.
That
Up-
recommends how to use its funds.
It's not a publicly elected committee, it's appointed by the select board.
Well,
Well, that's what we
again,
are.
hold on. Again, it depends on the bylaw. If the bylaw, if they want it to be.
Oh, it can be,
Yeah,
it can
that's
be.
what I'm saying. It could be elected,
It
so.
should be, but
Doesn't matter.
Well, they just recommend though. They can recommend,
Yeah.
so for your historic project, they can recommend it, but the town people still vote on it. They still have final say. The funds don't, that's like us saying, we recommend
Does
this.
the select board have any say?
but we-
I'm not
yeah,
sure how it all
unless
works.
gets through the
many
warrant.
questions.
that's not how it's written.
I-
If you look at what's on the docket, the Historical Preservation Committee, they get a say on their 10%. They don't, yes, it goes to the select board and the select board signs off on it, but there's no town warrant. There's no like, hey, we're gonna fix the siding on X building. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, let's wait until, May 2025 when it's on the town warrant and then we vote on that. And make
Okay,
sure that that money gets allocated. That's
I have-
not how it's written.
I have no idea at this point. I'm sorry I got too involved in this thing, okay?
I'll pull the ripcord.
No,
We have
I'll
no,
pull the ripcord.
we have
We're
no
done.
opinion.
All I know is we voted tonight to take
As a CIPC, we got nothing.
no recommendation on that. And we're gonna start doing other stuff, starting in July, about looking at our 2026 stuff, what we need to do there. So that's what we're gonna concentrate on now, as we go forward.
Fair. Stay in your lane, Britton. That's
Huh?
what you mean to
Stay in
say.
your lane. What you do. There, I just wanna make sure, whatever happens, that fire truck gets approved. That's important to the town. And the other stuff.
Well, that,
We need to take care of the town stuff that we have right now.
I mean, they're gonna float a bond for that?
Fire truck, yes, that's gonna be a loan. Probably a 20-year loan, cause that's about what we take for a fire
But
truck.
that was
that'll
also
go-
in
I
our
thought Seth
recommendation.
said you could only do like a 10 per the state or something. I thought in the minutes he had said something about you
Yeah.
can only do
Yeah,
an
Some
X,
things-
if you do a bond, there's a set limit by per state or something.
As to for what you're doing, if it's a huge building and it's $50 million, you got a very long time to pay for that.
again, my point is,
It
we're
may
gonna
be
take a
10,
loan
right,
out.
maybe right on that.
It's up to the town treasurer who does this kind of stuff, will decide on what it is. I know is we're gonna have to
FICOM,
take a
yeah.
loan for it, cause we're not gonna have 1.8
Who's
or
the
$2
town
million
treasurer?
dollars in cash when this truck
And
comes
who's the
due.
town treasurer?
Right now, we have a temporary,
Yeah,
okay? We have a temporary. So hopefully we'll have.
she's gone, right? Becky's gone?
She left in February, end of February. I think.
But that has FICOM oversight and,
What's that?
that has FICOM oversight and selectmen,
Yeah,
yeah, so.
so, but they've got to arrange for the loan, the treasurer does all that, puts the bids out. That, in terms of, Seth puts the bids out for the truck, but the treasurer really looks at what somebody is willing to pay us for a
And
loan.
if some grant comes along that, well, we have to have our base covered just in case it doesn't.
We're hoping to get a grant, cause you heard Seth, I got a grant when the other fire truck was done 20 years ago. And I got a grant for, I think it was like 80% of it. But he said I was what, 5 or 8 out of 350 that applied? So there's a very
So you have to have your
But you gotta
backup
have
plan
the
in
money here.
place.
That's it. That's, we gotta do.
Keep your fingers crossed, but have the plan in place, just in case.
Do we have any other questions? Anything? Cause that's about all I have. Does anybody else wanna add anything to our discussion on the CIPC stuff? No?
All these items
Okay.
here seem simple compared to the,
What's that? Our stuff?
seem simple compared to the community preservation thing.
Oh, God, I opened up a next, I don't want.
Why did you do that?
I have no idea. I'm trying to tell you that we may or may not be involved in.
Are you a sucker for punishment?
I
Like, what are
must
you
be.
doing?
I must be, man. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Well, hold on, we've got, right now, on the books, we have the next meeting for.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Thursday, May 16th. Are we keeping that and then doing another one? You said, mentioned maybe doing one like soon after the
Well,
town meeting and election, or?
the town meeting's
what's our-
the 11th.
Yep,
The election is the 13th.
so that would be
So
the
the
Thursday right
15th
after.
would be, the Thursday would be right
Thursday,
after
all
that.
right, so we'll keep Thursday, May 16th on the
Yeah,
calendar.
I can't do,
Yeah, I've
I
got
can't
that.
do the next week because I'm gonna be in California. So it would either be the very end of May or the 15th, so let's do that, and that'll be booked. I'll get that booked.
Harry, do we have any, this probably should have been said in old business, but.
Any what?
Do we have any new requirements operationally as a board since the last special town meeting? I think something was said about notifications for the town. I don't know, I'm just deferring to you.
No, the,
Half of that meeting was about the CIPC and we talked about that, but is there anything new for us operationally that we need to consider?
not until the bylaws are thoroughly approved by the state.
By the DA, right? Yeah, the state, so, okay.
They've been approved by the town, they've been vetted by our attorney, now they have to go to the Attorney General's office. So we're still working off, if you will, the old bylaw of CIPC.
Will we get a notice on
believe
when we
it.
are on the new?
We'll get a notice when it's finally approved.
Okay,
We'll know that.
alright. That was my only question.
Operationally, not much will change.
I don't think, no.
It's minimal.
I have, here was what basically gets submitted. This is the proposed new bylaw. And at that meeting, nothing changed in that proposed bylaw.
I didn't think so,
There
but
was
there
there was
is.
a one thing under the general bylaws,
Yeah.
but not under this.
Okay. Yeah, it just, that was my question. I just wanted to make sure I understood in a formal capacity of exactly what the heck that was.
So when we meet in May, hopefully the Attorney General will have approved some of these things, and then we'll be operating for sure.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have another date book, Chris?
Right now, I think that's the next, we don't
Not
have
after
anything
that.
booked
Are you
after
gonna meet
May.
in
Okay,
June?
all right. What?
Is there gonna be a meeting in June? July is the month we've skipped in the past.
Yeah, if we're gonna meet in June, it should, well, okay, let me ask you this. The only reason we'd meet in June and July, start up in August, is because we wanna get a jump on getting people in. So if we meet in June, we can schedule it, but to my mind, it would be scheduled for August. Cause there's a lot of vacations going on and all that stuff, and trying to get people involved in that. We pretty much know the schedule of the stuff we're gonna have and what we need to do and the questions we've been asking them in the past. So if you're comfortable, we can meet June, probably,
I don't think it matters too much. I mean, especially not to me. I might have a letter ready for you at our next meeting.
and then maybe not.
Maybe not. You know,
So, yeah, if we want, we can book a date in June. If we have it, great. If not,
all right.
we can book
Well,
one,
we're set for May.
okay? I mean, I've been on this for 15 years, and on June, July, we don't get a lot done.
I can't remember when I started. I'm not sure how long you've been on here.
I could look up at the original records, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was probably in 1784, you know, probably feels
Lord.
like that.
Do you have the blue coat on at the time, or?
Okay, gentlemen, I appreciate meeting tonight.
How long is the term? 3 years?
3 years,
So maybe I've been 9.
yeah.
Harry, is there any other business we need to close on or officially vote?
I have nothing here. I'd like to just, if not, unless there's something on your mind that we need to vote on, but that was the only thing in my mind,
No.
was that recommendation.
Okay, so officially, yeah. Community preservation, so.
Okay.
Do
Motion
we
to
need
adjourn?
another meeting just for that again?
What's that? No, oh no.
No, let's not waste our
Oh,
time.
no, we're not wasting our time on that thing again.
He gets enough time for that.
If we were gonna have to give a recommendation, I think we'd need about 3 meetings to go over all the
least.
details. So,
Yeah.
get that one.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I would second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? So aye. Answer?
Aye.
Right?
Aye.
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 Aye,
Aye. Unanimous.
we're done.